Okay, good afternoon. It's 1:40 and I'd like to call this meeting to order. We'll begin with a roll call of commission members. After I call your name, please reply present, and if you can, and confirm that you can see and hear me. Commissioner Hughes.
Present, I can see and hear you.
Thank you. Commissioner Ponce.
Present, I can see and hear you.
All right. Commissioner Osmond. Commissioner Osmond? Okay. We'll come back to her. All right. Last year, Governor Pritzker signed Public Act 101-0640, making certain amendments to the Open Meetings Act so that we, along with other boards and commissions, can continue to host virtual meetings during this COVID-19 public health emergency, provided that certain conditions are met. One of those conditions is that Chairman Wong of the Commission on Chicago Landmarks can determine that an in-person meeting of the Commission on Chicago Landmarks and its Permit Review Committee are not practical or prudent. I want to make sure our virtual meeting meets all the conditions of the Open Meetings Act as amended. Therefore, Chairman Wong has made a determination pursuant to Section 7E2 of the Open Meetings Act that an in-person meeting of the Commission on Chicago Landmarks and its Permit Review Committee is not practical or prudent. Similarly, he has determined pursuant to Section 7E5 that because of the disaster as declared by the governor, it is infeasible for at least one member of the Commission on Chicago Landmarks or its chief administrative officer or its chief legal officer to be physically present at the meeting place for either meeting, in as much as there is no physical meeting place. Pursuant to a resolution adopted by the Commission on Chicago Landmarks on June 4, 2020, regarding the chairman's emergency rulemaking powers, Chairman Wong issued emergency rules governing the conduct of remote public commission meetings and provisions for remote public participation, effective January 19, 2021. These rules were posted on the commission's website. In line with these emergency rules, today's regular commission meeting is a virtual meeting being simulcast to the general public via live streaming. Commission meetings have been held virtually since May of last year. Meetings are structured to minimize the chances for technical difficulties. Members of the general public have been encouraged to submit written statements in advance of the meeting, and these have been posted on the commission's website and are available for public view during the virtual meeting at www.chicago.gov/ccl. Members of the public desiring to speak at today's meeting were required to register before the meeting and make verbal statements by the public for all agenda items will take place at the beginning of the meeting. Applicants and their representatives, as well as aldermen, were asked to contact staff if they desired to speak, and they will be available to do so after the staff presentation on a specific project. 3 members of the general public have signed up to speak today. We will begin with agenda item 2, the project at 720 South Michigan. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Begin by stating your name and the association you represent, if any, for the record. Maybe please hear from Mary Lou Seidel.
Thanks so much. Can you hear me?
Sure can.
Great. Good afternoon, commissioners. I am Mary Lou Seidel, Director of Community Engagement for Preservation Chicago. I am testifying today in what I hope will be support for the Canopy work planned at the Hyatt at 720 South Michigan Avenue. Per the meeting format, we're required to speak at the beginning of each meeting before we see the proposed renovations. The developer plans and presentation aren't shared with the public prior to the meeting, so we're required to speak blindly about the proposed changes just based on a narrative summary of the work shared on the agenda. That being said, the South Michigan Avenue corridor near downtown is a significant asset to the city of Chicago. We support special care that the assets along that corridor are stewarded well and in line with landmark standards. We look forward to the day when the Commission on Chicago Landmarks honors another remarkable stretch of Michigan Avenue with a landmark designation, namely the Roseland Commercial Corridor. The Roseland Commercial Corridor has been an anchor for both the Roseland and Pullman communities since the late 1800s. Preservation Chicago has surveyed all the properties along that corridor There are extraordinary buildings intact along Roseland's Michigan Avenue that are historic but vulnerable because of either deferred maintenance issues or absentee owners. So anyway, thank you for the opportunity to speak about work at 720 South Michigan, and we look forward to hearing more about what that work entails. Thank you as well to the commissioners and staff for your oversight of Chicago's remarkable cultural and historic built environment. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Seidel. Can we now hear, please hear from Bonita Sanchez Carlson.
Hello, my name is Bonnie Sanchez Carlson, and I am the president and executive director of the Near South Planning Board. Earlier this month, Near South Planning Board's Project Review Committee had the opportunity to review the proposed modification to Hilton Chicago's entrance and Canopy on South Michigan Avenue. This gem of a hotel located in the historic Michigan Boulevard district has been a major staple in the Near South Side for many glorious years. It's part of the fabric that makes the Near South Side a great place to live, work, and visit. We recognize the importance of upkeep and the need for modernization in these older buildings, especially on South Michigan Avenue, and applaud the Hilton for dedicating time and resources for such costly endeavors. The terrific changes proposed, such as modernizing the overall canopy, replacing the deteriorating brass, and upgrading the heavy revolving doors to be ADA compliant, to name a few, all seem within reason and would not have an adverse effect on the landmark district. As such, Near South Planning Board's Project Review Committee, pending full board approval next week, wholeheartedly supports the proposed modifications to the entrance and canopy on South Michigan Avenue and urge approval by the city's landmark department. Thank you for the opportunity to review this request.
Thank you, Ms. Sanchez Carlson. And I'll just want to take a minute to recognize Commissioner Osman is here, is present for the record. And now we'd like to hear from the person who signed to speak regarding agenda item 3, which the project is at 2028 to 2062 North Clybourne. Can we now hear from Mr. Ward Miller?
Good afternoon. Can you hear me, Commissioner?
Sure can.
All right. My name is Ward Miller. I'm with Preservation Chicago, and we fully support what we feel and what we think is a possible landmark designation and reuse of 2028 to 2062 North Clybourne, known most recently as the Annixter Center, and originally built as the Ludlow Typograph Company building in this Clybourne corridor. And we very much like to see these types of presentations before the Permit Review Committee. Although I have to tell you, in this format that we're currently in, it's very difficult to give really good comments when we're sort of working in a vacuum. We're obviously presenting our testimony at the top of the meeting before the full presentation is made. So, you know, as a suggestion, looking to the future, it would be wonderful to be able to, as we do in person, be able to give better and more specific comments and praise to these types of projects following each presentation. But we understand the limitations as we're in this COVID crisis and world disaster, if you will. But we do want to present our support of a reuse of this building. It's a remarkable structure. And we'd also like to encourage its landmark designation, and anything we can do to help with these types of designations, you know, we're here. So assuming the best, that this will be seen before the full commission on of the Commission on Chicago Landmarks, and assuming this is going to be a very sensitive reuse and restoration of the building, with changes as needed for a conversion and reuse, we do support this as a possible future and designated Chicago landmark. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Good point. And that is all of the speakers who signed up to speak for the Permit Review Committee meeting. So we'll now go through the agenda, which will begin with the approval of the minutes for the regular meeting on October 7th, 2021. Commissioners, as a reminder, when you wish to speak, make a motion or second a motion, please press the raise hand function on the panelist window on the right-hand side of your screen, and I will call upon you. And we'd like to request a motion to approve the minutes of the October 7th, 2021 meeting. Any motions? I see Commissioner Hughes.
So moved.
All right, thank you. And I see Commissioner Osman. Is that a second?
I seconded.
Okay. Commissioner Hughes made the motion, seconded by Commissioner Osman. And now we'll take a quick vote. Commissioner Ponce?
Yes.
Yes. And I am a yes. And so the motion carries unanimously, and the minutes will be posted on the commission's website. And before we move to the next item, before we move on to the next item on the agenda, I believe Commissioner Hughes will recuse herself for this next item only.
Yes, thank you.
All right. The next item is 6204 South Green in the 16th Ward. Engine Company 84, Truck 51, proposed exterior and interior firehouse renovation for new commercial kitchen and event space with rear addition. And I'd like to call on Emily Barton for the presentation.
Yes, hi, Commissioner. So earlier this year, the city issued an RFP for a site in the Englewood neighborhood that includes the landmarked Engine Company 84, Truck 51 Firehouse near the intersection of South Halsted and West 63rd. The winner of the RFP, Englewood Connect, has proposed an eco-food hub and pop-up development. The first phase of the project includes the rehabilitation of the historic firehouse at 6204 South Green into a commercial kitchen and event space. Future phases of the larger project include a construction of a new structure to the south that will be connected to the historic firehouse. Englewood Connect LLC is requesting city assistance in the form of TIF and NOF and will likely be classified as a planned development. So this Engine Company 84 Truck 51 fire station is built in the Tudor style and well known among fire department personnel as the Castle. Today, this late 1920s structure contains almost all of its original fabric. The applicant's proposing to undertake a full interior and exterior rehabilitation of the building to transform the space into commercial kitchen and event space. Most of the original and historically significant features are proposed to remain, with the addition of a new stair tower outside the southeast corner of the building. So the applicant has provided historic drawings from the original construction of the firehouse, which helps to understand the building's original design intent. Sometime in the past, the original firehouse doors were removed and replaced with non-historic overhead doors. The original windows have all been replaced, and a non-historic shed addition was added to the southern elevation. Most of the masonry and decorative terracotta elements have been retained, including the decorative extended chimney and the extensive window coining. So in order to be able to replicate the original bifold wooden doors, a few entrance modifications will be required, as the building will need new accessible egress entrances. The applicant's proposing to modify the existing window masonry openings flanking the central decorative bifold doors from 6'4" by 2'7" to approximately 7 feet by 3 feet door openings. The new doors will feature a terracotta bordering surrounding the openings to match the remainder of the building. By modifying these two windows to doors, the new bifold doors can fully replicate the original design. Staff recommends that the proposed new doors are in the best possible location and will maintain the symmetry of the building. A new freestanding ADA bollard is proposed to the side of the left door to avoid the insertion of push plates on the historic facade. On the rear elevation, the applicant is proposing to modify another masonry opening to accommodate an 8x7 overhead loading door, which you can see outlined in yellow. This is a necessary modification to allow the commercial kitchen to have a loading entrance. Because this is proposed to be on the rear elevation and will be modifying an existing unornamental opening, staff agrees that this is the most appropriate location. The non-historic windows are proposed to be replaced with new windows, replicating the original seen on the drawing set from the original drawing set. Staff recommends approval of these modifications, and window and door details shall be submitted to staff with the permit application. While initially proposed in the attic space, the applicant has relocated much of the required mechanical equipment to the ground, which substantially reduces the number of vent penetrations required in the historic fabric. The equipment is proposed to be located in the inset northwest corner of the building and will be hidden by a 4-foot tall perforated architectural screen. The screens will not be attached to the building, and the perforation will allow for some visibility behind it. Because of this and the inset location, staff recommends approval with the condition that the screen be finished in a dark, non-reflective finish. On the second floor of the building, the applicant's proposing 2 new roof deck spaces on existing flat roofs. The new decks are proposed to be accessed from window openings that have been modified to accommodate doors. Because of the roof parapet, these modifications will be very minimally visible, and staff recommends approval as proposed. An open metal guardrail extending 1 foot 6 inches above the parapet is proposed to be attached to the inside wall as a code requirement, and the applicant has prepared exhibits showing the visibility of these proposed railings. The northern guardrails will be visible from the ground. However, they're not located on a primary elevation, and the guardrails were designed to be minimal as to not detract from the ornamental masonry. They will not obscure any decorative features, and because of the small size of the roof decks, cannot reasonably be set back any further. The southern guardrails are similarly located on a secondary elevation, and while they will be visible from the ground as well, they will ultimately be blocked by the Phase 2 new construction. So because of these reasons, staff recommends approval of the proposed guardrails with the condition that they be finished in a dark, non-reflective finish. The applicant has identified a location on the front elevation of the building as a potential signage opportunity. Above the 3 central second floor windows, there is a differentiated rectangle where a terracotta seal was historically attached. After the seal was removed at some time in the past, a rectangle of differentiated brick surrounded by a soldier course was left behind. Although the original building signage located here is now gone, there is a historic rationale for signage at this location. As a signage proposal has not been submitted yet, nothing is approved at this time. However, the proposed location on the front elevation can be approved in concept, provided it fits within the soldier course bordering. Whenever a pre-permit signage proposal is ready, details and dimensions shall be submitted to staff for final review and approval. To allow for 2 egress stairs to meet code requirements, the applicant is proposing to construct a new stair addition in the far southwest corner of the building, connected through a modified unornamental window opening. The addition has been designed to be visually differentiated from the historic firehouse, reading as a clearly secondary structure. The new addition is proposed to be constructed from metal and glass. It will be 22 feet in height and will match the eave height on the gabled roof of the historic structure. The structure is no larger or taller than is required for stairs, and the footprint is approximately 20 feet by 8.5 feet. This location for the addition was chosen to be as far from any building ornamentation as possible and will only connect where necessary on the 1st and 2nd floors. It will not obscure any decorative features. Because of these reasons and the necessity to have a second set of egress stairs, staff recommends approval as proposed. So the applicant included in their submittal diagram showing the proposed phasing of the overall project as a whole, and the rehab work to the historic firehouse is in the first phase. The second phase includes a new 1-story structure to the south of the firehouse. While the new structure has not been fully designed yet, it will only connect to the historic building through a non-historic addition on the south elevation you can see outlined in yellow. While currently a combination of materials, The firehouse renovation work will replace the existing south wall of the addition with a new minimal dark metal panel screening. Because of this proposed connection point, the addition will not destroy any historic material. The new construction footprint will be set back from the firehouse masonry walls and will not obscure any ornamental elements or the primary elevation, and staff recommends approval of this location in concept. Once the design has been established, the new construction proposal shall be taken back to the permit review committee for review. I believe somebody from the Alderman's office was planning to be here to speak to Alderman Coleman's support of the project. I don't see them in here anywhere, but they are enthusiastically supportive of this project. But we do have the property owner and the architects on the line if you have any questions for them or me.
Excellent. Thank you for the presentation, Emily. Do we have, does the commission have any questions for Emily at this time? I had one question regarding the new doors. Are those they're just kind of rendered in black right now? Are they? Do you know? Is there going to be glass in them at all, or is that more of an architect question? I don't know.
Yeah, I would ask the architects about that. My understanding is that's just kind of a conceptual, just to kind of show where the drawings are. I think maybe
There's a conceptual depiction there. If you could go to the render, Emily, up front.
Yeah, that should show. Yeah.
Oh, that helps. Thank you. Yeah, got it.
We want to pick up on the historic detailing of the garage doors, as well as provide some transparency into the space.
Yeah, so that helps a lot. I forgot about this one. Thank you. So I guess no more questions. Any other questions for Emily at this time before we move on to? I'd like to hear from now. I'd like to hear. There being no questions, I'd like to hear from the applicant and the representatives. We can call on others in the applicant's party, but this time, can we hear from the developer, Zeb McLaurin?
Hi, good morning. Or good afternoon, I'm sorry. I'm Zeb McLaurin, the developer and the principal managing partner of Inglewood Connect LLC. We're excited to have this opportunity. As was mentioned earlier, we competed aggressively for this concept via the Invest Southwest program, via Department of Planning and Development. We were honored to be one of the first projects chosen for this wherewithal and for this illustrious program. And we've certainly been challenged by the Department of Planning to not only honor the historic significance of this landmark institution, but also tie in the community, which has been starving for development of this scale and nature for some time in the Inglewood area. We are certainly, the name is representative of what we are trying to achieve here, connecting existing institutions in the neighborhood with a number of other vibrant institutions across the city of Chicago. And this food concept, this eco hub, we think will just be the beginning of a domino effect throughout the Inglewood community and the greater south side of Chicago. So we look forward to continue working with the Department of Planning, obviously the Landmark Commission, and other community and city stakeholders to bring this to fruition.
Great, thank you. Does the commission, does anyone from the commission have any questions for Mr. McLaurin or the applicant? Seeing none. Oh.
I don't have any questions, just a comment of how exciting this project is and what it's going to bring to the community. And it's such a lovely, lovely solution thus far of what they're doing. And it's great. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Ponce. It's a very exciting project, and so look forward to learning more about the addition as well. Do we have any? Is anyone from the Alderman's office here? Alderman Coleman's office?
I don't see anyone. They said that they would hop on, but maybe there was some problem. But I don't see them in the room right now.
Okay, thank you. So if there are no other questions, we call on the commission for any kind of other discussion points on the project. Seeing none, I'd like to request a motion to adopt the staff recommendation. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Ponce,
Seconded by Commissioner Osmann.
seconded by Commissioner Osmann, and I am also a yes. And so the motion carries unanimously. Congratulations. It's a really, really exciting project, and we look forward to seeing it come to fruition. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Commissioner Hughes,
Thank
please rejoin when you can.
I'm back.
Yes, all right. Welcome back. So we're going to move on to the next agenda item, 720 South Michigan, historic in the 4th Ward, Alderman King, historic Michigan Boulevard District, proposed modifications to the entrance in Canopy on Michigan Avenue. And I'd like to call on Joyce Ramos for the presentation.
Thank you, Commissioner. This 25-story building located on the southwest corner of Michigan Avenue and Balboa Drive was originally the Stevens Hotel and is now the Hilton Chicago. The existing granite cladding and storefronts at the first floor are not original to the building and date back from an extensive renovation done in 1985, which was prior to the designation. The original design drawings shown at the bottom left from circa 1927 show that the returns at the exterior vestibule on the Michigan Avenue main entrance, which was originally granite. So these here. And this was changed to travertine and then back to granite in 1985, as shown in the drawings at the bottom right. So here shown in red. The columns at the face of the building were originally 9'2" wide with granite enclosures that created a series of 3 punched openings at the main entry portals that led to the entry doors. So these right here. And then later, the original granite column enclosures were removed and replaced with travertine enclosures. And then in 1985, they were replaced with brass column enclosures that exist today. So these are what you see today. The 2 pilasters that divide the 3 sets of brass doors were originally clad in granite, and over time this material was also changed from the original granite to travertine, and then to the brass that exists today. So these are the pilasters that I'm talking about. The applicant proposes to modify the existing Michigan Avenue entrance doors. This entrance is currently not accessible, and the interior vestibule is not large enough to be ADA compliant. The revolving doors are original, but do not allow for emergency breakout, are too small for guests to walk through with their luggage, and break frequently due to their age. The applicant is proposing to add automatic door operators to 1 set of swing doors, enlarge the interior vestibule by pushing the exterior line of doors out towards Michigan Avenue by 1'7" to allow adequate ADA clearances at consecutive doors, replace the existing revolving doors with 3 wing 10-foot diameter revolving doors, and repair the existing entrance. Due to the larger revolving doors, the entrance will need to be reconfigured. Some of the brass at the pilasters can be reused and others will be newly fabricated. Staff recommends that any new brass that needs to be fabricated for the entrance should match the historic brass in color, finish, profile, and design. The historic Stevens Hotel logo will be replicated in the new brass panels above the revolving doors to match the historic placement of the logo above each door. While the interior of this building is not a significant feature, the applicant would still like to respect its historic character by reusing the existing brass grills and wall panels in the vestibule where possible. Since the vestibule will be widened, the existing grills and panels will be centered on the walls with new brass panels to match the historic material to be installed on each side. Staff recommends approval for the entrance modifications as proposed. The applicant is also proposing to make alterations to the existing non-historic canopy over the Michigan Avenue entrance. The new design will match the hotel's current brand standards. The steel support structure will remain while the cladding will be removed and replaced. The new design will reduce the overall height of the canopy from 6'5" to 3'2". The width of the canopy will also be reduced by 8 feet by removing the wings on each side. The metal panels will be painted gray, and the top and bottom panels will have a slight projection that will be painted a metallic brass color. The colors and profiles are inspired by the details on the entrance doors. Finished samples for the canopy shall be provided for historic preservation staff review and approval. The underside of the canopy will have exterior gypsum sheathing with new openings for recessed speakers and heaters. The existing light fixture located at the center of the canopy will be reused. Staff recommends providing plan and section drawings that indicate the layout and attachment details of the speakers and heaters for historic preservation staff review. The applicant proposes 5-inch deep LED letters with brass returns that spell the name of the hotel to be mounted on each side of the canopy. The design and location of the sign, as shown in the elevation drawings, is acceptable conceptually. Staff recommends reducing the depth of the sign to be no more than 3 inches, so it is more proportional with the canopy. Drawings of any signage to be attached to the canopy shall be submitted for review by historic preservation staff under separate permit application submissions. So finally, staff recommends approval for the proposal with the conditions mentioned in the presentation and also listed here on this slide. Alderman King has reviewed the proposal and has provided a letter of support, which was included in your packet. The Near South Planning Board has reviewed the proposal and also provided a letter of support, which was submitted after our deadline. The architect and the owners are also here. If you have any questions, this concludes my presentation. Please let us know if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Joyce. Any questions for the commission for Joyce? Seeing none, can we hear from the applicant? And can we first hear from the project architect, Tasha Ferris?
Sorry, I
Oh,
think
sorry. Go for it.
I had it up in the chat. My question for Joyce was clarification on the 3-inch depth for the signage. If you guys, I know I think they had like 5 inches or 5.5 inches in their proposal, and we said 3. So can we clarify the reasoning behind that?
I was just looking at the section here, and this right here is the sign, is the letters, that the 5-inch projection. I was just thinking to reduce that projection to be somewhat more proportional with the sign. I just felt like it was projecting a little bit too far off from the sign, and I would just like that to be reduced.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other questions for Joyce? Looking for hands. Okay. Seeing none, can we hear from the applicant and start with the project architect, Tasha Ferris? I think you're on mute.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having us here today. My name is Tasha Ferris. I'm the Associate Principal with FJG Architects. On behalf of the Hilton Chicago team and the project team, I'd like to thank the committee for your attention and consideration of our project. We're really excited to bring these improvements to the property and feel they will exponentially improve both the functionality and aesthetic of the hotel's front door, elevating the arrival experience for our guests. Joyce, thank you so much for your thoughtful presentation of our project. We've enjoyed working with you throughout this process, and we appreciate your support, as well as the support of the Near South Planning Board and Alderman King's office. I'm more than happy to take any questions from the committee if you have any. If not, thank you all very much for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Ms. Ferris. Any questions for the architect?
Yes.
Mayor Hughes?
Thank you. Can you clarify the depth of the existing letters of the existing sign?
I don't necessarily have that dimension for you offhand. I would estimate them to be about 4 inches. I will say that the existing lettering now includes the terminology Hilton Chicago, and it also has a cartouche symbol to it, and it will be reduced to be just the word Hilton. And so we're absolutely amenable to the idea of reducing the thickness of the sign there. I think it will probably also help with the whole pigeon issue.
Yep, sounds good. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions?
Any other questions for commissioners? I don't see any. Any other further discussion by commissioners? Comments?
I have a comment.
Yes, Commissioner Hughes.
I swear we're usually not this excited about canopies. But this is really exciting. I think we've all experienced the existing canopy for quite some time. And it just, the new direction that you guys are taking this is very clean. It's very sharp. I think it's going to draw more attention to the actual details of the historic fabric behind it. And so I'm actually really excited about this canopy. And I'm not usually excited about canopies. So great job on simplifying that design, and the color palette is more in tune with the entry and all of the brass that exists there as well.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Commissioner Hughes. Any other questions? Seeing none, I just want to say that I agree. I think it's a huge improvement from the existing sign, and very well done. And even all the improvements to the kind of the internal little vestibule area for accessibility. It seems like you guys paid a lot of attention to all the materials and everything. So nice project. Any other questions? Looking for hands, don't see any. Can I request a motion from the commission? Do we have a motion?
Yes, I motion for us to accept the staff's recommendations as is. So with the reduced relief of the letters.
Perfect. Commissioner Hughes made a motion. Do we have a second?
Seconder, Commissioner Osman.
Commissioner Osman has seconded, and let's do a roll call. Commissioner Ponce.
Yes.
All right, and Commissioner Ponce is a yes, and I am also a yes. And so the motion carries unanimously. Congratulations. Looking forward to seeing this project. I think it's going to be a great improvement to Michigan Avenue. So we're going to move on to item number 3, 2028 to 2062 North Clybourne in the 2nd Ward, Alderman Hopkins. The proposed interior rehabilitation of the existing industrial building. And Joyce Ramos again with the presentation.
Thank you, Commissioner. The Ludlow Typographic Company building was originally built in 1913 with several later additions. The applicant Annexation LLC is planning an adaptive reuse and renovation of the building for retail and residential use. Most of the ground floor will be occupied by residential units, the lobby, and interior courtyards. The remaining portion of the ground floor is proposed to be marketed to food and beverage businesses. Floors 2 through 4 will be occupied by residential units. The roof will feature tenant amenity spaces that include interior and exterior roof decks. The applicant is seeking preliminary approval on the redevelopment project to ensure that the work meets the Commission on Chicago Landmark standards so that they can move forward with landmark designation, which will be reviewed at a future commission meeting. Changes to this building proposed by the applicant include replacing the existing non-historic windows with new 3/1 aluminum double hung windows to match the appearance of the historic windows, masonry and limestone tuck pointing and repairs, and restoring the entrance doors and ornamental stone surrounds. Existing non-historic overhead doors and swing doors as indicated on the existing elevation at the top in the green dashed lines will be removed and replaced with new windows that will continue the rhythm of the existing window openings. Limestone sills and brick will be installed below to match the historic materials. Staff recommends approval of the proposed 3/1 aluminum double hung windows, provided that the design and profile are consistent with the general characteristics of a historic wood window. Additionally, the muntin should be applied on both the interior and exterior glass with a spacer bar if the glass is insulated to create the depth that closely resembles an authentic divided light. Large scale dimension detailed drawings for each window type through the head. So meeting rail mullions, transom bar, and brick mold and trim shall be provided on the permit drawings for historic preservation staff review. Additionally, masonry and limestone repair details, cleaning specifications, and samples of any replacement materials required shall be provided with the permit application for review and approval by historic preservation staff. No signage is approved at this time. Drawings of any signage to be attached to the building shall be submitted for review under separate permit application submissions. A 1-story rooftop addition is proposed to be constructed on the 4-story block and will be clad with red brick to match the historic red pressed brick that clads the rest of the building. The proposed addition will have a flat roof and will be set back 38 foot 7 inches from the Clybourne Avenue facade. A dark gray painted canopy constructed out of metal or wood will be installed on the southeast elevation and will cover a portion of the exterior deck. Staff recommends that plans, elevation sections, and enlarged details for the proposed canopy should be provided as part of the permit application. Staff also recommends that the details for the glass guardrails at the roof deck shall be submitted with the permit drawings. Visibility studies with views provided from Clybourne Avenue were submitted for historic preservation staff review and were included in the packet. View 1, looking northwest, shows the stair enclosure and the elevator overrun minimally visible behind the existing overrun. View 2, looking southwest, shows the rooftop addition is not visible. Views 3 and 4 further along Clybourne Avenue does indicate that the addition will be visible, but staff believes that the portions of the rooftop addition that are visible from these vantage points are not distracting to the overall historic form of the building, since the addition is not visible on the primary facade. The committee has approved some visible rooftop additions on industrial type buildings, which often had rooftop mechanical rooms, elevator overrides, water tanks, mechanical equipment, and other rooftop appurtenances that give them this varied roof line. Further, the scale of these large industrial buildings reduces the impact and adverse effect of new rooftop enclosures. In this case, the existing conditions of the Ludlow Typographic Company building already include several historic rooftop appurtenances, such as overruns, stair enclosures, and chimneys that vary the roof line. The proposed addition will be minimally visible and will not affect any historic features on the facade of the historic building or its roof line. Staff recommends that the massing, siding, and configuration of the one-story rooftop addition is approved as proposed. The exterior and interior alterations as shown on the submitted drawings dated October 26, 2021 are approved. A complete set of drawings showing existing conditions, proposed demolition, and proposed additions and alterations, including plans, elevation sections, and details shall be submitted for historic preservation staff review and approval. Other conditions listed on the slide were also mentioned during the presentation. Alderman Hopkins and the Sheffield Neighborhood Association have reviewed this proposal and both have provided letters of support, which were included in your packet. The architect and owners are also here if you have any questions. This concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Joyce. We have, before we get to the applicant, any questions for Joyce or staff?
Yes.
Commissioner Hughes.
Sorry, on the very first elevation comparison of existing versus new, I saw that there's green boxes around primarily where the windows would be updated, which I'm extremely excited about that. The two doors actually on the right side of the photo, they change from top to bottom. Is there a, what's the story behind that?
You mean we're talking about these doors?
No, the two doors that are not highlighted, actually, the one in the center and the one to the right, they change as they go from existing to new.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, Tiara.
So the door, so if you go up, go to the right, go to the right. So the door on the very right, that's not highlighted. Do you see below, it seems like there's some sort of transom detail that's placed above in the new.
I don't know if the architect can speak to that. I'm actually not, I'm not seeing what you're referring to. I'm so sorry.
I wish I can sketch on this.
I think it's just basically there's two flanking historic openings, right? One on the one you're focusing on, the one on the right.
Yes, the two on the right, the two openings on the right that are doors, not windows, Joyce.
And there's like a bipart door with like, okay, let's maybe we, do you want to bring the architect, talk to the architect?
There's someone else. Do you guys see about it? I don't.
Hi, this is Brian Drizza with QRC Architects. We're happy to be participating in this project and on today's call. We can speak to what I believe is being asked. The doors in question have been replaced since the original design, and the updated drawing, the new drawing, depicts the doors being replaced to match the original historic intent based on the existing drawings that we have.
Okay. That makes sense. So the new overall elevation has what the doors look like today. Is that what you're saying?
The existing elevation on the top depicts what the door looks like today. And then the new elevation depicts what we are proposing to, the new doors that we are proposing to match the existing historic character shown in the original drawings that we have.
Oh, so this door in the center here, that's the central door, looks like it changes in the new elevation. So it doesn't actually match the door entrance on the left side like it does in the existing drawing.
Correct.
So historically, those doors did not match, is what you're indicating.
Yeah, correct. They were built at different times over a span of about 30 years.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. That was super helpful.
Thanks for clarifying that. Sorry, guys.
Thank you, Commissioner Hughes. And thank you to the architect. Can we hear from the applicant, and the project representative, Matt Farino, on the project?
Hello, this is Matt Farino with ownership. We're excited to revitalize this early 1900s structure. For context, this development team also completed the gut rehab of 2071 North Southport, which is immediately adjacent to 2032 North Clybourne. And although we did not pursue landmark status, we were able to thoughtfully preserve this 1908 brick and timber structure. Preservation Chicago was quoted saying, "We applaud the adaptive reuse of the historic building and would like to encourage preservation-oriented developers such as John Morgan, Matt Farino, and Heart of America Group to consider the adaptive reuse of other historic loft buildings within the district. With massive changes underway within this former industrial corridor, it's essential that the city of Chicago and preservation-oriented developers move quickly to protect architecturally significant buildings." Thank you very much. We're appreciative to be here and excited to restore this asset.
Thank you, Mr. Farino. Any questions from the commission for the owner? Seeing none. Like to start, if there's any discussion, the commission would like to have further questions. I don't.
Yes, sorry, I know.
Great. Commissioner Hughes.
I'm talking a lot today, sorry. I too, I echo a lot of the sentiments in the piece that he just, the snippet he just shared with us. This is really great. I love that you guys are, restoring this with a purpose and going back to its original glory. Oftentimes, I think we peel away layers and somehow negate the original beauty. And I think you guys are doing an excellent job at bringing us back to that. So great job, great project. My questions were simply for clarification on the doors, which totally makes sense if they were built in different times, that they would be different. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Commissioner Hughes. Any other commissioners with comment? Seeing none, I'd like to request a motion to adopt the staff recommendation for the project. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Okay.
Commissioner Ponce moved. Do we have a second?
Second, Commissioner Hughes.
Seconded by Commissioner Hughes, and we'll take a roll call. Commissioner Osman?
Yes, I approve.
Commissioner Osman is a yes, and I am a yes, and the motion carries unanimously. So congratulations. Look forward to seeing the project come to fruition. Moving to the next item, 4543 South Ellis in the 4th Ward, Alderman King. The proposed new construction of 3-story, 6-dwelling unit masonry multifamily building with roof deck and rear garage. And we'd like to call on Emily Barton for the presentation.
Thank you, Commissioner. Can you go to the next slide? So the subject property is located mid-block between 45th and 46th Streets. The vacant lot is approximately 35 feet wide and 171 feet deep, and is the second lot in a row of 7 row houses. The applicant is proposing to construct a raised 3-story multifamily dwelling there. Next slide. The North Kenwood district is non-contiguous. However, the entire east side of the block where the subject property is located is included in the boundary of the designation. The vacant lot where the new building is proposed is surrounded on both sides by attached row houses. Sanborn maps indicate that as late as 1950, the lot actually had a building connected to and matching the footprint of the row houses to the south. The lot was always wider than its immediate neighbors, and so historically there was a side yard there to the building's north. The planned building will infill this whole gap in the row of row houses, so no side yards are proposed. The front setback is approximately 25.5 feet from the front property line, which matches the existing front setbacks of other historic buildings it is attached to and within the district. While the remainder of the row houses are situated on 20-foot wide lots, the subject property is wider at 35 feet. Because of this, it is impossible to match the exact rhythm of the rest of the houses, which all feature protruding bays on the southern half of their respective buildings. The applicant is proposing to minimize this interruption by locating the entrance to the building in the center of the facade, flanked by 2 bays on either side. The overall proposed roof height of the building is 42 feet 10 inches, matching all of the existing predominant roof lines to the north and south. And the floor-to-floor heights and porch stoop heights as well are well within the neighboring proportions. The proposed building has been designed to be compatible with its neighboring row houses. The architect referenced elements found on traditional greystones, such as covered porches and pyramid roofed bays, and integrated them in the design for the new construction. So 2 bays flank the building's main entrance, mirroring the rhythm and scale of the adjacent buildings. Rock-faced precast concrete was chosen to mimic the rusticated limestone seen throughout the neighborhood, with contrasting bands of flat-faced precast concrete as a contrasting feature. The southernmost bay is pyramid roofed, while the northernmost bay is flat-faced with a gable roof. The minor differences between the 2 bays reference other greystones in the area and create an asymmetrical design, which is a common design feature throughout the district. The main entrance is behind a covered porch with an arched entryway and simple Doric columns on either side. The applicant's design is compatible with both adjacent buildings and the district as a whole, and staff recommends approval as proposed. So as I mentioned, the front facade of this project, which will be the only elevation that's visible from the public right-of-way, is proposed to be faced with precast concrete, both with a textured rock face veneer and a smooth face for the heads, sills, string horses, and window surrounds. The porch stairs will be precast concrete to match, and then the remainder of the building, including the rear elevation, will be faced with just a standard reddish-brown modular brick. The mansard roof is proposed to be in 2 materials. The roof that connects to the adjacent row house to the south will be clad in composite slate shingles to match the roof at 4545 South Ellis, while the remainder of the roof will be architectural asphalt shingles. Both of the proposed roofing materials are compatible with the neighboring buildings and district. Staff recommends approval of all proposed materials with the condition that masonry samples be provided to historic preservation staff with permit application. I believe the architect is here if you have any questions for him or me.
Thank you, Emily. Thank you for the presentation. Does the commission have any questions for Emily? I see Commissioner Hughes.
Thank you. This is a great presentation. I'm very excited. I love this neighborhood. I love this community. And the applicant has done a phenomenal job at keeping with the scale and the feel. My question, however, is about the shingles. Why are there 2 different shingles on one structure?
So if you could go back a slide or 2, maybe, well, okay, this will do. So as you can see, the part that will have the composite slate is the part that is right towards the southernmost buildings, because that adjacent southern attached row house already has a composite slate roof.
Just to clarify, north is with the empty lots. two buildings
Yes,
over, right?
yes,
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So the one right to the south already has a composite slate tile roof. So because the gable will break that little portion of roof from the remainder of the roof. And so in order to have that match the existing row house and make it kind of a continuous surface there, the applicant is proposing to match their materials for that portion. Maybe I have, wait here, let's see if I have any photos. Go back, will you?
I understand what you're saying. It seems, okay. So you're saying the part with the gable is gonna match this existing roof
Just
here.
this little extra part right there will, yes. It's so hard.
Can we hear from the applicant? Can we hear from the applicant what their thoughts are behind this? Like, is it gonna split down the middle and be half one material, half the other? Only the gable is gonna be that separate material to match.
It's just that portion to the south of the southern gable, if that makes sense.
I see. The little, the tiny little corner.
Just that little triangle, yeah.
Okay.
So that it's being done so that there is not a line right down the middle.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Thank you.
Okay.
Well, I know that the project architect's here also.
Yes.
Can you hear from the project architect?
Yes, please.
Can we check the here? I don't know if I said that right. Mr. Polichek? I see you're there. Oh, yeah. Thank you. Any comments regarding the roof and how that's going to look?
Well, it will look magnificent, what I can tell you. It's a very complicated situation for infill with different roofs on each side. So this like different materials, we're talking about small triangle on the south because angle of our roof, which is next to south building, we think it's important to have as much to match material. Rest is different. So in reality, maybe nobody even realizes it's a different building roof. This was a purpose.
Okay, I understand. Thank you both, Mr. Owner and and Emily, for clarifying. I'm going to respectfully disagree with that decision though, because from what I can tell, the new material that's going to be proposed on the facade of the new structure will not be the same as the facade to the south. Is that correct? I know it's going to be complementary, but it's not going to be the same material. Is that correct?
Yes, that is. Just real quick, I will just say an additional thing is each section of the roof, whoever owns their particular section, there's multiple different materials for the roof.
Yeah, exactly.
As you go down. Yes.
Exactly. So I think the roof should be its own material. I don't think one little slither of the roof should match the adjacent. I think the roof should be all one material, just so that it's going to look extremely weird. If it's just the one little triangle slither that's matching the adjacent roof, even though it's for a new building. And also when you continue down that facade, the beautiful bay window that you guys have designed, it's going to be a different material from that building to the south. So the material change should just continue straight up through the roof. That's my comment. Other commissioners, please chime in. Exactly. This elevation shows exactly what I'm trying to emulate here, which is it makes total sense for the two straight lines, the two edges to be their own material of this structure. Now, if there was a separate material going down the middle because there's two different condo units or whatever units on both sides, that's acceptable too. But to have the one little slither by the bay doesn't make sense to me visually.
Thank you, Commissioner Hughes. Does the architect or are there any issues with that, with making the roof just one material, its own material?
No,
is there any concerns there?
No, we have no problem with that.
Okay.
We can do the same material.
Does that answer your question, Commissioner Hughes?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I'll stick with my opinion on that.
Okay. Any other discussion?
Yeah,
Commissioner Ponce, please.
from me, I just want to thank Commissioner Hughes for bringing that up, and it indeed just provides a more cohesive design aesthetically, and I just think it makes sense, and it sounds like the architect is not opposed to it, so it's a simple solution there.
Great. Thank you, Commissioner Ponce, for adding that too. And I think that at this point, we could probably request a motion. And that motion would be, well, does someone want to make a motion? Commissioner Hughes,
Sure.
start the discussion.
Sure thing. I motion us to accept all of the staff recommendations with the one modification for the roof material to be one material for the entire roof.
Great.
And I'm not opposed to whichever material you pick out of the two choices here.
Thank you, Commissioner Hughes has made a motion. Do we have a second?
Second, Commissioner Ponce.
Commissioner Ponce seconds, and we'll do the roll call. Commissioner Osmond.
Agreed on the motion.
Excellent. Commissioner Ponce, or Commissioner Osmond is also in favor of the motion, and I am also okay with the amended motion. So the motion carries unanimously. And that's it. Congratulations.
Thank you. Beautiful project, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move on to our next item, which is a property at 3659 North Springfield, then the 30th Ward, Alderman Reboiras, proposed demolition of existing garage and construction of a new two-car garage, and call on Joyce Ramos for the presentation.
Thank you, Commissioner. The subject property includes a prairie-style main house and garage. The garage is 16'9" wide by 18'9" long. The applicant is proposing to demolish it and build a new two-car garage. The date of construction of the garage is inconclusive. The original building permit for the house was issued in 1916 and does not mention the construction of the garage. No other permits were found for the construction of the garage. The available Sanborn maps for this area were published in 1913, which shows the lot is vacant since this was before the house was constructed. And then the updated Sanborn map circa 1949, which shows a garage located east of the house along Waveland, which indicates that the garage was built sometime between the construction of the house in 1916 and 1949. While the garage appears to have been designed in the same architectural style, many design differences and alterations over time can be found upon closer inspection. The garage door opening on the north wall has been enlarged, reframed, and retrimmed to accommodate the current garage door. The stucco on the garage has a different color and texture as the stucco on the house. The wood trim elements on the garage, which stylistically are similar to the main house, were installed on top of the stucco surface, as opposed to the wood trim on the house that is flush with the stucco. The proposed new garage is 20 feet wide by 24 feet long. The slightly larger size will accommodate two standard size cars. The location of the new garage is proposed to be moved closer to Waveland Avenue to align with the northernmost facade. The setback of the other garages located on corner lots within the district varies, with some garages extending past the base of the main house. Some are within a few feet of the sidewalk, while others are set back behind the face of the main house. Due to the varying setbacks, staff recommends approval of the proposed setback. Considering the lack of information found on the date of construction, the design differences from the main house, and alterations made over time, staff recommends that the demolition of the garage will not have an adverse effect to the property or the district as a whole. The design, massing, size, and materials of the proposed new garage is compatible to the architectural features of the main house and is approved as proposed. Replication of the original design elements of the main house is appropriate as it protects the historic integrity of the property. Staff recommends that the color and texture of the stucco on the new garage should be compatible with the stucco on the main house. As seen on the site plans on the right, the width of the existing driveway and curb cut is proposed to be increased to match the width of the new garage. The driveway can be widened to accommodate the new garage as proposed. However, staff recommends that the existing curb cut width shall be maintained. Both the Alderman and the Villa Improvement League have been notified of the project by the applicant. Alderman Raborius has submitted a letter of support, which was provided after the deadline. And that concludes my presentation. The architect and the property owner are here if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Joyce. Does the commission have any questions for first Joyce? I don't see any. Can we hear from the applicant's party? Please, is project representative Matt Hellige here? I'm sorry if I'm messing that name up.
No, that's fine. Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. I'm Matt Hellige, and nobody could guess that, so you're fine there. I'm the homeowner. We are new homeowners in this neighborhood. I don't have much to add to Joyce's presentation, but we're very happy to be in this historic neighborhood, and we hope to be good stewards of this house for many years to come. And thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Hellige. Any questions for the property owner from the commission? Seeing none. I think you guys are doing a very nice, tasteful new garage, and so I want to commend you on that. Looks like you took a lot of care into how you designed it. Does the commission have any questions or further discussion they'd like to add to this? Commissioner Hughes.
Thank you. I second your opinion. Your home is beautiful. This garage is going to be a beautiful addition. Congratulations. And I definitely understand a need for another car in our winter. Winter is coming. So congratulations.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Commissioner Hughes. Any other comments? Seeing none, I think we're ready to request a motion. Do we have a motion to accept the staff recommendations?
I recommend to accept staff recommendations, Commissioner Osmond.
Thank you, Commissioner Osmond has made a motion. Do we have a second?
I second, Commissioner Hughes.
Commissioner Hughes has seconded the motion, and we'll do a roll call. Commissioner Ponce?
Yes.
Commissioner Ponce is a yes, and I am also a yes, and so the motion carries unanimously. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So we'll move on to the next item. I think the last item. 2037 West Haddon, the second ward, Alderman Hopkins, proposed masonry replacement and replication of original deteriorated brickwork features, new porch and entry stair, and rear extension of existing dormers. And Emily Barton has a presentation.
Yes, I do. Is it sharing for? Can everyone see this the screen?
It says Joyce is sharing still,
but it's just black, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Joyce, could you try again?
Do you guys see it now, or is it still black?
Joyce, it says
let me
double-click.
start this all over again.
For what it's worth, it's a double click to enter full screen mode. I don't know if that's helpful. That's helpful.
Right.
I have it open too. I can try.
Let me try one more time. Take 3. Okay. How about now? No. Okay. I'm sorry. Okay. Emily, you can give it a shot.
Give me just 1 sec here. I will share my screen. Okay. Can you see this? Yes. Okay. Great. So the subject property here is located mid-block between Damon Avenue and Hoyne Avenue. Sometime in the past, the facade was covered over with a layer of permastone. The applicant has removed the permastone, revealing extremely damaged masonry underneath. The owners are planning a full interior and exterior renovation of the home. and would like to replace the front facade so as to match its historic condition to better fit with the character of the surrounding neighborhood. Over time, the subject property has been significantly altered from its original appearance. The original ornate brickwork has been covered with an applied permastone facade. The original windows and decorative wood trim have been replaced. The wood entry stairs and metal railings are in considerable disrepair, as is the wood cladding on the existing wood dormers. The applicant has researched the Ukrainian Village District and found evidence that the home was one of a series of identical homes built throughout the neighborhood by developer and builder William D. Kerfoot. It's a Kerfoot cottage. So, demolition of the outer permastone facade, which was undertaken earlier this fall, confirmed that the brickwork details and other key decorative elements common to other similar Kerfoot cottages were in fact present in this home. Unfortunately, removal of the permastone facade also revealed severe damage to the underlying brick. The permastone and mortar and metal lathe mesh backing was attached with heavy-duty masonry nails that could not be removed without causing further damage to the brick. Many bricks were found to be cracked or broken, and decorative elements such as the terracotta tiling and limestone sills were either removed or chiseled down flat. The mortar joints are badly eroded in many areas, and there are also signs of damage caused by moisture trapped behind the permastone. Oh, sorry. So I'm not Joyce. I don't do this as often. So the front facade of the building primarily consists of two withes of masonry, a rear withe, which is common brick, and then a front withe of face brick. The face brick used on the original facade is 2 3/8 inches tall, 3 5/8 of an inch deep, and 8.5 inches long with 1/4-inch mortar joints. So modern standard brick is 2 1/4 inches tall with a similar depth and then 7 5 inches long. The applicant has contracted Bricks Incorporated as their mason. They're a company that has substantial history working with historic masonry. They have informed the applicant that brick matching the original historic dimensions is no longer manufactured. The project mason and general contractor believe that most of the brick is exhibiting signs of deterioration caused by the permastone attachment and is largely unsalvageable. Staff then conducted a site visit and agreed that no areas could be reasonably salvaged. Because the masonry deterioration is evenly distributed across the entire front facade, it would be very difficult to replace only the most deteriorated bricks because any replacements would require wider mortar joints to make up the difference in height and length of the brick. While there is only 1/8 of an inch different in brick height between the historic and modern brick, when the brick courses stack up, there would be a substantial difference in height. The applicant is proposing to carefully document the historic design and to replace the entirety of the deteriorated front face brick with new masonry matching the original color and texture as closely as possible. So as I had mentioned before, this Kerfoot cottage has matching cottages throughout the neighborhood. So because of that, any features that are too deteriorated to understand the original design can be reconstructed by referencing these other cottages. Excuse me. The committee has approved significant masonry replacement in the past where warranted. In 2019, the committee allowed for the full replacement of the original face brick at 560 West Fullerton after the removal of a permastone layer. Similarly, down the street, the same scope was approved at 558 West Fullerton. An entirely new face brick and limestone elements were added at this time. Based on the severe deterioration of the original masonry, and the inability to replace individual bricks due to masonry dimension differences, staff recommends that the removal and replacement of the original deteriorated face brick will not be an adverse effect to the building or district. New masonry and mortar shall match the original in dimensions as closely as possible. Coursing, profile, color, texture, and finish. New masonry samples shall be reviewed by staff prior to order and installation. And facade documentation and masonry repair replacement details shall be included with the permit application. The existing vinyl windows are not original to the home, if you can believe it. And the applicant is proposing to replace them with new aluminum clad wood windows designed to match the original operation and configuration. Removal of the existing cladding surrounding the windows revealed that the original historic trim was never removed when the original windows were replaced. The applicant intends to document and replicate the historic trim details for all 3 window banks on the primary facade. On the top floor window, stained glass lights will be reintroduced based on the other matching cottages throughout the district. The front door and transom window do appear to be original to the house, and the applicant intends to restore and refinish them in their original location. A non-historic wooden porch was added to the building sometime in the past. The applicant is proposing to remove this and replace it with new open wood treads, wrought iron rails and knoll posts, and a new metal awning consistent with other homes found within the district. Staff recommends that this new porch is an appropriate replacement feature, with the condition that the new stairs be revised to be closed riser stairs to better match historic conditions. So the other Kerfoot cottages in the district feature a chimney on the side elevation near the front of the cottage. The applicant is proposing to reintroduce the common brick chimney, which was very likely removed sometime in the past. The new chimney design will match the historic design, be located on the east elevation, and rise approximately 3 feet from the roof line. Because this feature will be replicating a missing historic feature, staff recommends approval as proposed. At the rear of the building, there is a non-historic enclosed porch, which is the area of which is highlighted in yellow on this proposed elevation. The applicant's proposing to demolish this and add an addition in its place, approximately the exact same depth. Because this addition will be no taller or wider than the existing cottage, staff recommends approval of this as proposed. And then we have sometime in the past, dormers clad in wood clapper siding were added to the roof line of the existing building. The existing east dormer is set back approximately 17 feet from the front facade, and the west elevation has 2 existing dormers, the closest to the front facade being approximately 9 feet away. Behind that dormer is then a 20-foot dormer. The applicant's proposing to extend these existing dormers all the way to the back of the house. So staff conducted a site visit to evaluate the visibility of the proposed extensions. The existing dormers are visible from the street. However, because the building has very tight side yards, 3.5 feet to the east and just 6 inches to the west, the western extension will not be visible at all, and the eastern extension will just be minimally more visible than the current existing conditions. The current dormers are located just below the building's original roof line, and the applicant's proposing to raise the height to be slightly above the historic roof line. Based on the photos, staff recommends approval of the dormer extensions with the condition that the ridge height be no taller than the existing dormers. Okay, and so staff recommends approval with the conditions I have mentioned. A support letter from the Ukrainian Village Neighbors Association was included in your packet. And I believe we have the architects here. If you have any questions for them or me.
Thank you, Emily. Any questions for Emily before we talk to the architect from the commission? Seeing none. Can we hear from the applicant's project architect, Jordan Snyder?
Sorry, hi, Jordan Snitcher here. I'm from D-Space Studio. And I think, yeah, thanks, Emily. That was a great overview of what we're trying to do. I think the owners are, really into the historic nature of the house, and it was one of the things that draw them to purchase it in the first place. And so I think they were, initially hoping to remove that permastone and find an undamaged historic facade that could be, kind of minimally restored. That wasn't the case, unfortunately. So, it's something that that they're willing to take on as just kind of a point of pride that that they're going to be, kind of bringing this back to the character that is seen throughout the neighborhood. And I think, the couple items that were infilling, I guess, as new are the porch and the dormer extension. And I think those are just kind of things that they would like to add that are the porch in the front being something that's seen in a lot of the homes as you walk around the couple blocks where these other identical models are found. It's the design that we've come up with is in the character of those. And then the dormer extension is just kind of trying to add a little bit more usable square footage to the second floor, and is taking up the same footprint as the existing enclosed porch addition on the back. So it's really just kind of giving them a little bit more ceiling height as they go back to the back of the house.
Great, thank you for that background. Any questions for the architect? Seeing none, I did one question. The chimneys on the outside of the building, right? It's hanging into the side yard, or
that's something that we're kind of working through that right now.
Okay.
Yeah,
the internal or outside.
Yeah, we're trying to kind of figure out if it fits inside the house or if it's something that we might need to kind of project off of the side.
All right, makes sense that it's shown two different ways then. Any other questions?
I just have a comment. I mean, it seems like this project has been a lot of fun to work on, and sometimes this type of house represents a lot of the building stock, residential building stock that you do see. So I think it's fun to restore it back to what it was. And so that is really, really great to see. And those images of the brick, measuring the brick, and that forensic part of it adds to the story of where this is going. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Ponce. Any other questions, comments, discussion? Commissioner Hughes.
Thank you. I second Commissioner Ponce's comments about the excitement behind it. We've made some really silly decisions in the past when it comes to honoring our historic gems. The brick or the facade that they put on top of this is horrendous. But obviously it was very loved during that time because so many homes had that application. But I really appreciate that you guys are going the extra mile to restore this property to its original glory, because the original glory is beautiful. I love the Black accents that you're gonna provide on the framing of the doors and windows. It's really great. And I'm a little afraid for the current condition that it's in when you've peeled all of that back, because I know that the task is really at hand now to find all of that original matching that you have to do. So it's a huge puzzle, and I commend you guys for taking it on. And I can't wait to see the finished product. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Hughes. With that, I think we are ready to make a motion. Can I request a motion to accept the staff recommendations?
So moved.
Oh, seconded.
All right, Commissioner Ponce moves, Commissioner Hughes seconds, and we'd like to take a roll call very quickly. Commissioner Osmond.
Approve, and I too support the hard work of the owners. This is really a labor of love, and thank you for doing it for the city.
Thank you, Commissioner Osmond is a yes, and I too am a yes. Thank you. You guys are doing a great job. Thank you to the owner for the stewardship to bring this back to its glory. It's gonna be beautiful. So with that, the motion carries unanimously, and congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. And that brings us to, I don't believe there's any further business, so that brings us to the end. I'd like to request a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Commissioner Hughes.
Motion moves. Second, do I have a second?
Second.
Commissioner Ponce seconds. And then Commissioner Osmond, and all those in favor?
Approve, yes.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you all for a very productive permit review committee. Thank you for your service, and until next time. That's the end of our meeting. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Yeah.